Without further ado, I'm going to bring on Jake and Jordan. Jake and Jordan, great to have you guys. And by the way, I realize I need to be wearing a hat too because you guys always bring them. I've got one ready. What is that one, Jake? What do we got?
This is a non-baseball hat. I should be clear.
Okay.
I do own a couple non-baseball items in my life, but Jordan's hat is actually the insane one.
Shouts out to the Rocky Mountain Vibes who no longer exist, and that breaks my heart. They were short-lived, or maybe they do still exist, but they are no longer affiliated. But Toasty the Vibe will be representing with me.
That's amazing.
You got to ride the vibe as long as you can ride the vibe. And Jordan will have that vibe forever in his head.
Oh, that's fantastic. I don't think you guys need an introduction. Obviously, listen to their podcast on The Ringer. You guys are amazing. There it is, Baseball BBQ. But yeah, take it away. If you need to share your presentation, just do so, and I'll shove it up to the screen. Okay?
All right. Let's do it. Share screen. Everyone can see what I have, my entire screen. We can snoop on what I've got. Is this working?
I'm not seeing anything. There we go. There we go.
If you look in the bottom corner, you can see I do in fact play Roller Coaster Tycoon. Exposed.
So embarrassing.
Is this showing up, Jordan? For the record, I cannot see you.
Oh, that's fine.
So just letting you know. But
okay. Well,
go ahead.
I'm very excited about this. Yes, this is a very, again, we just came off a great panel all about, creating a projection system for fantasy baseball. We're going to flip it in the other direction, and there will be there will be some numbers that will be said over the next, 45 minutes or so, but we're really just going to have a good time. That's really all we care about doing when we talk about baseball, so we're going to do that. And we are bringing to you Pitchers React to Stuff.
Now, the title is purposefully vague because when Nick reached out and was like, hey, do you want to do this? I was like, yeah, what if we react to stuff? Pitchers react to stuff. And I didn't really have a real thesis in my head, but we wanted to do something, and we ended up kind of piecing it together post-tense. Jordan, should we at least give like a rough introduction of who we are and what we do? Sure,
yes. So if you follow us on Twitter, Cespedes, at Cespedes BBQ, that's us. Not going to explain the name right now because we want to get to pitchers reacting to stuff. But yeah, that's Jake. I'm Jordan. We both share the account. We don't usually tag which of one of us is tweeting, although if you follow us, lowercase tweets are me, uppercase tweets are Jake. This is what we look like. We're not Yoenis Cespedes. Someone should sign him, but we are not him.
Oh, true.
And that's pretty much who we are. But really, yeah, we have a podcast called Baseball Barbecue, and we like to have fun talking about baseball, and that's what we're going to do today.
All right. Why did we pick this topic? So, as you probably just noticed from the folks who went before us, they have very large brains and quite an aptitude for computers. We do not have that. And so we dumbed it down for ourselves.
Yeah, I think we just wanted to have fun. And again, that's why we're going with the straight, PowerPoint presentation here or whatever the hell it's called on a Mac. I don't know. But we like to take a look at, yes, the details, but the details that nobody cares about. So that's what we're going to dig into here. And we hope that we can, at the very least, entertain you.
All right, here are the table of contents, the menu, if you will. We're going to begin with the man who points, Hansel Robles, and the power of hope.
Hold, Jake, can you hide the at the bottom? You see where it says hide?
Hide.
StreamYard.com is sharing your screen. We want to hide that. We want to hide that. Okay, there we go.
Hide.
All right. Now we go. All right. Let's keep rolling. Keep rolling. Here we go.
Okay, so we're going to start with the man who points, Hansel Robles and the power of hope. We will then move to explosions of joy, Felix Hernandez, Chad Qualls, and Aroldis Chapman. To all the gloves I've thrown before, E-Rod, that's Eduardo Rodriguez, Shawn, KELLEY, and Ted Lilly. And then, of course, the Golden Crotch, a deep dive into the haunches of Chris RESOP.
Let's begin with Hansel. Jake, tell me about Hansel Robles. I think people who are watching probably know roughly about Hansel Robles, but remind us.
I think Hansel is an underrated, awesome baseball name. We are still waiting for our first Gretel. And I think we will keep waiting.
I like our chances.
Yeah, I don't hate him. General career overview for Mr. Robles. He was a Dominican amateur, signed with the Mets. Comes up for the Mets in 15 when they make the World Series, and he's like, okay, he's pretty good. Like, he's like a pretty solid piece of the bullpen. He throws 3 scoreless outings in the World Series in 15 when they're there. 17 and 18, he's hurt, and he's not very good. He gives up a ton of home runs. Gets traded to the Angels or waivers or whatever. He ends up on the Angels. He's good for them. 2019, he's outstanding for them, like probably a top 10 reliever in baseball. And then in 2020, He was big stinky. And when I showed Jordan this slide, Jordan was like, "Was he really big stinky?" I thought he was just bad. Jordan,
he was. Sources confirmed. Baseball Reference, ERA confirmed. Indeed, maximum big stinky in 2020. But hey, not stinky enough for the Twins to not give him a major league contract. So now he's on the Twins.
Now he's in the Twins. But the reason a lot of people know Hansel Robles is this: he points. And he points at a lot of stuff, but he is mostly known for pointing at home runs. So we're going to actually take a look at some of the home runs that he has pointed at here. So as you can see, this is just a taste of some of the home runs that he points at. That Tommy Pham one is nowhere near an outfielder, and here he is pointing directly up at the sky. There's another one, Jeff Mathis. Here's Trace Thompson, Jay Bruce, and then this is a great one. I'll turn the volume up for this.
Oh boy, Dustin Ackley. Yeah, that's special, folks.
So Hansel points, and this is something that is fact, and we know this. And so we're going to try and answer these questions. One, is Hansel always pointed? When is Hansel pointing, and why does Hansel point? All right, so I dug into the archives to try and find out if Hansel Robles has always pointed. Has he always thrust his finger to the sky when a home run was allowed? So I went back and I found this. This is his first career home run he ever allowed. It was Chris Bryant in May of 2015. This is actually Chris Bryant's third career home run. Weird, Jordan, that he hit his third career home run in May.
He had to have been up on opening day. Why did it take him until May 12th to hit a home run? That's crazy.
It must have been quite a slow start for Mr. Bryant. Actually, I believe he was called. This is when he finally was good at working on his defense.
Oh, thank goodness. As you can see here, that work really paid off here.
We're going to see him manipulating this ball over the fence, but keep an eye on Mr. Robles as well. No point.
Interesting.
Not a point. Also, holy crap, that was an absolute blast. Okay, so first career home run allowed, no pointing. This is his final home run of 2015. I was not dedicated enough to this not scientific project to watch every Hansel Robles home run allowed of the entire season. But this is the last one, and Mets fans who are watching will probably notice the date that the final game of the season. Yes, this is the Max Scherzer no-hitter game. And yes, this is a Dan Uggla home run. And no, not even a semblance of a point from Hansel Robles. Okay, so yeah, I know. I feel like we're on serial. All right, first home run of 2016 versus Trace Thompson. Remember Trace Thompson?
Of course.
Tied in the ninth.
Oh, boy.
There we go.
There it is. Our first, a wild Hansel Robles point appeared.
So this is right here, baseball history. I'm just going to freeze it right there. This is Hansel Robles absolutely pointing, right? There's a no doubt point, but it's also a no doubt a home run. Okay, so we've unlocked that mystery. He has not always pointed. He began doing it in 2016. But Jordan, when does he point?
Well, home runs, obviously. I mean, it's in the air, so you got to point on the homers.
Now, you noted, Jordan, this is your favorite Hansel Robles pointing video, so we'll run it.
Yeah, so again, yes, Manny Tomas, of course, Nationals minor league invite for this year's spring training. Got very, very, very rich and not very, very good. But here he is hitting a home run off the scoreboard in Arizona. No doubt about this ball being a home run. This is not going to be touchable by the center fielder. But Robles, it seems that he's suggesting that perhaps it will be staying in play.
Or, as we hypothesized, he is simply pointing to the scoreboard where the ball is about to land. So he points at home runs, but he also points at foul balls. This is from, very normal. This is a very normal thing to do. Ball's fouled back, letting the infielders know where the ball is, points, out of play, stays a 1-2 count. Totally normal. No problem with that. But he also does it for ground balls. This is from the same at-bat. Chris Taylor. If you see, it's hard to see, but there is certainly a point there.
Ooh, you can see the form is still just.
The form is still there. The form is there, but the ball you can see on the corner of the screen.
The ball is not up here.
Last point you made about this, Jordan. Just awful defense from Tommy La Stella.
Yeah. Rendon makes this play 10 times out of 10. And then Robles would really be not in as much trouble. But it seems like he's really pointing on more than just the home runs.
But it does raise the question, Jordan, is he pointing or is he just following through? Because as we can see on a lot of these strikeouts, that's just his natural arm motion. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to talk about when does Hansel point, it really is all the time, always, eternally. Yeah. And I think there are two main reasons why he points. And one of them is his mechanics. And we'll see it here in slow-mo in a second. Watch his recoil. This is from the Tomas home run. His recoil, he gets to the point, and it kind of snaps back, and his hand is already up there. So the amount of work that Robles has to do to point.
Form a point is not much.
It's really not that much.
Right.
And so I think he got a lot of flack for pointing at home runs he allowed.
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, he was just pointing at everything because that's the way he pitched.
That's him.
But I do think that there's another aspect to it because even if it's easier for him to point, he's in a good fielding position with his finger, as it might be. He still needs to point once he's here. And I think that other 25% is the power of hope. And this is what I mean by that.
Okay, tell me about this.
I think it's hard to be a major league pitcher, and that you really have to have a lot of self-confidence to be successful at the big league level. And all of the things that you see along the sides of this graphic that could be in a below-average corporate office, I actually think are important, and I think play into Robles pointing. Every time that he gives up a tater or a blast or a pop fly or a ground ball, he believes it will be an out. He believes that his teammates and his comrades, his friends behind him, will be able to assist him in his endeavor. And I think that's something beautiful about that.
Yeah, man. I agree. I think you're right. That trust, that teamwork, that knowing that my outfielders, they got my back. Yeah, I'm going to give up a ton of fly balls that may or may not go over the fence, but I believe that every single one of them will fall safely in the cradle of my outfielders.
Into Brian Goodwin's glove. This is the type of energy I wish to bring into my life. I'm not going to get the vaccine until August. Pointing up, maybe.
Fine.
Maybe tomorrow.
We're gonna get it. It's fine. It's coming.
Probably not.
It's coming.
Probably
It's going to be
okay, Jordan.
Play. All right, let's move on.
Wait, before we continue, any final thoughts on Hansel Robles, Jordan, before we...
Yeah, well, I know we flew past. Can you just go back one slide? I knew we flew past this very advanced chart. I know a lot of you numbers people out there might not be used to some of the charts of this, but this is what we call a pie chart in the industry. And we see this is about a 75-25% split. So I just wanted to slow that down because we just blew right by that. I know that's a lot of like big numbers. So
you know how Russell Carlton always says here's the gory math.
Gory math. Yes. So I just wanted to make sure we slowed it down so that everyone got that. All right. Let's move on to explosions of joy. Explosions of joy. This is going to be quite the range here, folks. And we're going to begin with my beloved Felix Hernandez. Now look, he looks so happy. He looks so happy in this picture. Surely this is when he was, dominating the American League, winning Cy Young, and just no. Oh no, it's not. It's from 2018. We are going to go to the year 2018. And first of all, let's give you a little bit of background. Felix Hernandez and Adrian Beltre, two of the best friends that anyone could have. They were teammates in Seattle from 2005 to 2009. This is right when Felix comes up as a teenage phenom, and what a blessing to be teammates with the great Adrian Beltre. Of course, they form a great friendship. And Beltre leaves Seattle. He ends up on the Rangers, a AL West foe of Felix Hernandez. They face each other 74 times, a lot of times to face each other, and obviously they have that friendship. We're going to go to one of the last times that Felix and Beltre ever squared off. The last time, yes, the last game they ever faced each other, August 7th, 2018, about 6 years after Felix's perfect game. Felix versus Adrian. Let's go ahead and run this clip. This is the top of the second. The Mariners of Seattle taking on the Rangers of Texas. And Beltre, Hall of Famer, going to get completely fooled by a curveball from Felix. And Felix is laughing him literally back to the dugout. You old fart, get on back there. I just struck you out, and I'm going to be making fun of you for that all the way into your retirement. Look how silly Adrian Beltre looks. He knows, okay, all right.
Wait,
you got me.
I just noticed. Check out this dude behind him in the crowd. Check out this guy right here. Nope.
Beltre, he just doesn't have it anymore. All right, so Beltre goes down swinging, and then this is an all-time shot. Felix like, oh, you thought, why are you striking out against me? I'm not even good anymore. All right, so what should have happened next, Jake? Well, what would have been nice for everybody involved, including me. I believe I was watching this game live as a Mariners fan. Felix would agree, okay, he stays in the game for a few more innings. He gets Beltre to ground out. Great. Well, we don't want to push Felix too far. Let's pull him in the fifth. Only 2 runs on the board. He gets to leave with his dignity. You know, the Mariners go on to blow it in the 9th. Of course, everyone in Texas goes home happy because, you know, it was a normal baseball game, right?
That's just how 2018 worked. I know it felt like an eternity ago, but as a Mariners fan, Jordan, you know, you woke up, you did your day.
Yeah.
You didn't have to wear a mask anywhere because there's no pandemic. And then you got home at night and you got to bed, and around 12:45 or so, the Mariners lost.
But it was fun. I got to watch a baseball game. Right. People were in the crowd, and they had a good time, and you know.
But that's not what actually happened.
That's not what actually happened. We fast forward to later in the game. You take a look at the score there. Felix Hernandez has already allowed now 10 runs on only 88 pitches, but for some reason is still in the game, facing Adrian Beltre for not a third time, a 4th time. Okay, think about all your favorite pitchers who are not allowed to face good hitters for a 3rd time. No. Scott Service has decided in this point of the season, Felix, sorry, bud, you want to keep giving it your best? Here's face Adrian Beltre for a 4th time in the same game. Throw in that same curveball.
They pulled Blake Snell, who is good.
Felix facing Beltre for a 4th time in the game, for one final time in their careers, and throw him that same curveball. And Jake Mintz, what happens? Yeah. That's going to be run number 11 on the board for King Felix, beyond the outstretched glove of Cameron Maybin, who was indeed on the Mariners. Felix not as amused this time, not laughing. Beltre, though, is definitely smiling.
That's a smirk.
Yes, ear to ear. Felix is like, why am I still out here? This is miserable. And this sucked. Honestly, as a Mariners fan, I was furious because it was like, why in the world is Felix still in the game? But it was a fitting way for Beltre to end his fight for the 74th time and last time, facing his good friend Felix, to give him, to take him under his arm and kind of be like, look, bud, I'm still Adrian Beltre, and you're still 2018 Felix Hernandez.
You got any time a pitcher goes out there, Jordan, and is able to give up 11 runs with 89 pitches.
Yeah.
You got to take your cap. That is efficiency on the mound.
Right. It's exactly.
Is that going deep into a game? That's a deep run-wise.
Very good question. Anyway, so that's Felix versus Beltre. Takeaways from this: Felix probably not going to win the Cy Young in 2021 with Baltimore. Although, man, those pictures, he's looking pretty good down there in Sarasota.
He does.
Number 2, wow, we miss Adrian Beltre. What a delightful baseball thing we had for so many years. And then the last thing we just wanted to talk about with this is, could this be replicated? Could we imagine another pitcher striking out another hitter in a major league game, not spring training, real game that counts, and laughing him back to the dugout? Because I don't think we've seen this anywhere else, but could we see this in the future, and who are some candidates?
So I think you have to start with pitchers who actually seem to be enjoying themselves, or people
already a short list,
or people with relationships, like hitters and pitchers. So what came to our mind, or at least for me right away, was how Garrett Cole is married to Brandon Crawford's sister, and how they're like, close as a result. But I don't think Garrett Cole would like laugh at someone like this.
No way.
Like, I don't think he's that type of guy. And then that also brought to mind like Jose Barrios and Javi Baez, I believe, are in-laws. And they're both very fun-loving people. And I think that like if it was like the 4th inning of a Twins-Cubs game in July, no one would be too mad and like they would laugh about it. But I think if I had to pick any pitcher in the big leagues who's most likely to laugh at someone, I think it's kind of still
I mean, it's true, right? Because you could say, well, why is he was in the middle of a horrible,
Yeah.
horrible stretch in 2018 and he was still willing to laugh? Yeah, I think Felix is probably still a good one, and obviously he probably won't be pitching very many high stakes games this year. No offense to your Orioles, but it's also the thing about the hitters who would also be able to laugh back, right? That's why the relationship is so key.
Right.
Miguel Cabrera, I think, is a great candidate for that. I'm not sure which pitcher he has the best relationship with, but one that jumped to mind as we were preparing this earlier is now perhaps Sean Doolittle, now in Cincinnati, facing Juan Soto. I think that would be one where you could see two guys. They already won a World Series together, so they're going to be laughing about that for the rest of their lives, right? They'll have that forever. Now Doolittle very conceivably could come in to face Juan Soto. That's a very realistic proposition.
The one thing, though, about this, Jordan, is that what makes the Felix thing so great is how fooled Beltran was. And, like, even at his peak, Sean Doolittle didn't really, like, fool you. You just kind of, like, popped out to shortstop.
And I think the bigger problem, now thinking about that example, is that would be happening in the 7th or 8th inning or 9th inning, right? And this helped that this was in the 2nd and it was early, right? You can't imagine a lot of laughing going on.
You're allowed to have fun early in a baseball game, but don't even think about having fun late.
Please, no fun. All right, so what's a Chad QUALLS? Chad QUALLS. Just a fun word name to say. Tell me about Chad QUALLS.
All right. So Chad QUALLS pitched at the University of Nevada, I believe. Remember the Wolfpack there. Comes up through the Astros system. He's like pretty good on the Astros teams that are in the World Series, which is weird to think about now. It was like Dan Wheeler and Chad QUALLS. Then he gets traded to the Diamondbacks, where he's like, I wrote good reliever here, and I probably should have written excellent reliever because in 2008 he was outstanding. He was a very, very good reliever on mediocre Diamondbacks teams. Then he starts doing the kind of like thing all relievers do when they hit their late 30s. You know, you go, it's like your midlife reliever crisis. You go out.
You're bouncing around.
You're moving around team to team. Like you're living it up. He's on the Padres. Those 3 teams in 2012, I believe, are the Phillies, the Yankees, and someone else. And it doesn't even matter.
Pirates.
The Pirates, sure. 2013, he signs with the Marlins. I believe this is the first year, maybe the 2nd year of the Marlins wearing their very brief-lived orange, big, fat Stanton M uniform logo. But this is the background on Chad QUALLS. But we're going to talk about a specific day in history, Jordan. Before I hop into the Chad QUALLS moment, do you want to just take a look enjoying these starting lineups?
Yeah, I mean, again, if you follow us, you know we love tweeting out old lineups. You know, it's a favorite pastime of us. You know, Sarah Langs loves doing that. I mean, there's nothing. It's a no-brainer. It's always a guaranteed good time. And I think what we wanted to ask, and you know, you can put this in the chat. Who is the name here of these 18 names that you have thought about the least before we put this in front of you?
Isn't Ed Lucas the name of an actor? Or is that Ed Helms? That's Ed
Might
Helms.
as well be Ed Lucas. Yeah, Ed Lucas
as well.
is easily the leader in the clubhouse here.
Shouts out to Donovan Solano, though.
Right, who before last year was the answer with Ed Lucas. And Omar Quintanilla might also stand out, and he's going to be relevant here. So now you know, pay attention to Omar.
Omar Quintanilla is important to the story, but I also think it's important to shout out Ike Davis, who did you go to Junior summer camp with him, or was it me?
I think it was you.
He was in your futsal.
Yes.
And then obviously the last thing here is I did click on Juan Lagares recently. Duh.
Yeah. He's a lead on legend.
Who's not? The graphic on the left. Important to note the records of these two teams. The New York Mets at the time are 48-56, which is not what you want. And the Miami Marlins are even worse than that at 40-65. Okay. This is a game in July, right before the trade deadline. These teams both absolutely suck eggs. Okay. Neither of them are making a run. Like, that's it for these teams. As you can see by the lineups, these teams, like, probably not.
Those weren't enough hints.
Okay. So we're going to drop into the 8th inning here. And this is how the 8th inning starts for Chad QUALLS. Marlon Byrd at his peak taking steroids, triples to right field. Ike Davis strikes out swinging. John Buck grounds out. Juan Lagares walks, which brings up Omar Quintanilla. QUALLS goes up 0-2, and that then leaves us at this incredible moment in baseball history.
Hey, he's walking up. It's fine. I didn't do anything.
Everyone's laughing. Everyone absolutely eats it. He's trying to play it cool. He gets into the dugout, and then immediately he's goofing. He's laughing. I mean, he really ate it, Jordan. This is not graceful.
No, I mean, that's the thing. You know, as we've gone back and watched this now about 100 times, the average person that falls this way probably is on the ground a lot longer than Chad QUALLS was. He did kind of tuck and roll pretty well, all things considered. But
Shouts
still,
out to Juan Pierre in the background.
Shouts out to Juan Pierre and Jacob Turner. But still, truly an all-time embarrassing baseball moment. And we want to kind of talk about why he fell. Was this a reasonable fall? And kind of what led to this?
I think what I will say before we continue, what I love the most about this is why he fell. He fell because he was so amped up. I mean, look at him. He's so excited. Look at his front foot. That's actually what happened. That's the issue there, Jordan. Look at that. He kind of doesn't land correctly on that front foot, turns it over, and then he just goes down. Like, this is amazing because this is like the best moment of his terrible, boring season with this awful Marlins team. And he, in a huge spot, gets Omar Quintanilla, and down he goes. Okay, but let's break it down. Was this an improbable qual or an expected qual? Do we think it is obvious that Chad QUALLS fell, or was this an unexpected situation? Mm-hmm. Now, you might be sitting there being like, this is a hilarious moment, and part of why it's hilarious is because there's a 48-56 team playing a 40-65 team in July, and they both stink. And so there's no reason to get excited enough to fall over on your face if the moment doesn't matter. So improbable, yeah. Not a safe situation.
No.
Not really even a hold situation.
Nope. Tie game. It's tie game.
Just a tie game. It's literally Omar Quintanilla. Yeah. So no shade to Omar Quintanilla, but he had a career OPS plus of 56. Literally Omar Quintanilla. If he was facing peak David Wright, something like that, maybe. But
much more worthy of exuberant celebration.
But Jordan, I did some research, and I, through my research, have deduced that this moment where Chad QUALLS got so excited he falls is an understandable and expected phenomenon. And here's why. This wasn't the first time that Chad falled. Okay? I'd like to direct your attention. This is June 9th, 2012. He's on the Phillies. That was the year where he went on walkabout. And he's facing Matt Wieters, runner on first, late in the game. Down he goes.
Oh, he's a veteran fall guy.
He loves playing Fall Guys, Jordan. He's
huge Fall Guys energy.
Huge Fall Guys guy. And there he is. So he has fallen before.
So there's precedent. This was not an unprecedented fall.
He has fallen. Now, it should be noted that this spot in this game, tie game, bottom of the ninth, peak Matt Wieters is up, Adam Jones is on first. The Orioles are actually good. And for whatever reason, mediocre Chad QUALLS is in the game. He ends up getting out of this, and the Orioles do win in 12 innings. But I just like that he fell. Like, he had to get back up. He couldn't laugh about this.
Right. He's on his butt. He's not – there's no momentum, right, that he could kind of pick himself back up. Like, he had to stay serious in that moment.
So the other reason that it was an expected phenomenon is that Chad had qualled before. He fell before. This is from 2007. Chad QUALLS essentially pulled a Trevor Bauer throwing the ball into the stands, except it appears that QUALLS did it like behind the dugout instead of to center field. I could not find video of this. I looked a lot. Whereas Bauer threw the ball like into the forest fountains in center field in Cincinnati or in Kansas City. It seems like QUALLS like threw it like behind the dugout. So he has overreacted. He has made, he has emoted hardcore on a baseball field before. And then the last reason why Chad QUELL is that this game actually mattered to Chad QUALLS. It might not matter to me or you or Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, the standings clearly, it didn't matter at standings, so why did it matter to Chad?
All right. Shouts out to Baseball Reference, because duh. But this is Chad QUELLS' game log from July of 2013. As you can see in that column, he had not allowed an earned run for an entire month. If you're a reliever pitching on a bad team with no hopes of making the postseason, really no hopes of getting traded, and like generally not having a good time, you got to play little games with yourself, right? And I'm sure that after Mr. QUALLS went back-to-back outings in freaking Colorado without allowing a run, he began to notice that something was up. And so when he entered that game on July 30th against the Mets, it was a big, big moment for him when he got out of it.
Yeah.
Because he had essentially for himself, at the time, he thought that he had secured a scoreless month. Now, the next day, as you can see, they sent him back out there, and he was not very good, and he got saved by Mike Dunn. Shouts out Mike Dunn. And he ended up making the whole month without allowing an earned run. Now, Jordan, you might be asking, how rare is this?
Yeah,
not rare.
No, it's not. It's not. Okay. So I was about to say, how impressed should I be? Well, clearly, if you take a look at those names there on the left, not that impressed. That's just the Marlins, right?
That's just the Marlins. Just the Marlins with a scoreless month, relievers at least 12 games. Yeah. Steve Cishek had done it the July before. Shouts out to Taylor Tankersley. And then on the right, it wasn't even the first time that Chad QUALLS had done this.
Chad QUALLS, yeah, like he shouldn't. How excited could he possibly have been? I mean, this is normal Chad stuff.
Right. He had done this before in when I said he was really good for the Diamondbacks. Here you go. Yeah. Started the year in 2007 completely scoreless. So we love you, Chad.
We love you, Chad. We love you, Chad. And from one.
Well, let me just say, Chad, I applaud baseball players who show enough emotion and get excited enough about anything that they literally fall on the ground.
Amen.
That's it.
Amen. And from one somersault accidentally to one that was very much on purpose, we move to the story of AROLDIS Chapman. Folks, let's set this up again. 2012, we're going to again go back in ancient baseball history, 2012. Oh my God, that was so long ago. This was actually the third year in the big leagues for AROLDIS Chapman. And in 2011, he was up throwing 150 miles an hour, but he was somehow not the closer. They still weren't ready for that. They still kind of believed maybe this guy could start. We'll throw him down in Louisville, maybe give him 4 or 5 innings. Okay, they go into 2012. The Reds sign Ryan Madson. Again, a long time ago, Ryan Madson was really good. Okay, it makes sense. Okay, so they bring in Ryan Madson. He's going to be our closer, capital C closer. In spring training in 2012, Chapman's still trying to start. He's still trying to figure out how to throw enough strikes or figure out it's not even a third pitch, a second pitch at this point. And figure out how to start. But oh no, Ryan Madson blows out, tears his UCL in March. Now the Reds need a closer, but they still won't go to the guy throwing 150 miles an hour, so they bounce him.
But why would you ever do that?
Why would you even consider that? But Chapman is in the big leagues. He's setting up. He's throwing in the 6th, 7th, and 8th. He begins the season with 24 consecutive scoreless outings, including 17 straight before Dusty's like, all right, let's give this guy the 9th. Okay, so now he gets the closer job. He's the closer. He's in May. He's pretty good in May. He's in June. He's doing pretty well. But in June, we are running into some trouble on the field here with Chapman. People are finally hitting AROLDIS Chapman around. Okay, so we go to June 19th, 2012. 3-1 pitch, huge spot facing Asdrubal Cabrera. And Cabrera's going to go up. Time. Oh, yikes.
That pitch is not important to the story, but it just looks silly. So we
wanted to include that. But it is relevant to this specific story, is then Asdrubal Cabrera would take Chapman deep to right field for a walk-off.
I got to say, this is a crazy swing.
I agree. Because it looks like he's trying to foul the ball off.
It's a pretty good pitch.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great highlight.
Okay, then a few days later, June 24th, Chapman on again, another 3-1 pitch, trying to lock down a save against Minnesota, and Josh Willingham goes absolutely nuclear to the second deck in left field, taking the lead for the Twins. Chapman has blown his second consecutive save. Surely he wouldn't blow any more saves in huge situations with giant home runs ever again. Okay, that was probably the last time. Okay, now we go ahead 2 more days. They're facing the Brewers, division rival. Chapman's back out there because you got to send your closer back out there, right, Jake?
Jose Leclerc, Trevor Gott style, baby.
Yeah, you just got to send it. They got to figure it out. Okay, so now here we are. He's facing the Brewers. He strikes out Ryan Braun. He walks Aramis Ramirez, who's still playing in 2013 or 2012. He strikes out Carlos Gomez, and here comes Martin Maldonado. And what does Chapman do? Believe it or not, folks, he throws a fastball. Wouldn't you throw a fastball if you were Aroldis Chapman in 2012? Of course you would. And then what
are you doing?
What in the world is okay? So Ryan Hannigan, hey, here's the ball, man. Dusty's gonna, whoop your butt later. We are gonna go ahead and take a look at some of it. It's a great form. I don't know if we have any gymnasts watching us.
Dude, it is really the second one.
It's the second one. Yes.
This first one is hilarious and ridiculous. I've never seen anybody else do it on a baseball field before. But like, he gets to this point, right? And he can either hop back up or he could do it again, and he just whee.
Yeah.
And this Ryan Hannigan kind of hits the turf.
Ryan Hannigan's like, yep, hey, all right, nice job. Chapman's like, haha, I just somersaulted on the field. Everyone's going crazy. All right, so now we go to the aftermath. What happened?
This is I forgot to do my sourcing. This is from an AP story.
Yes, this is from the AP after the game. Love this sentence. The Brewers were surprised to see Chapman's forward rolls, but Baker doesn't expect retaliation. So what this is saying is that the Brewers did not expect the opposing team's closer to somersault twice after he saved the game. They were not ready. They did not see that coming. Okay. Now this is important. Now Dusty Baker, one of the great baseball lives we have. What a surprise! He was teammates with Brewers manager Ron Renneke with the Dodgers, and so Dusty's like, I'm not worried about this creating some sort of controversy because I think that's between us and the Brewers. You know what I mean? Ron was my teammate. He knows me. He knows me very well. He knows how I am. He knows how I do things, which is basically Dusty Baker saying, listen, guys, Ron knows that I wouldn't tell my closer to somersault twice after he saved the game. And so I trust that he's not going to tell his pitchers to get mad at me because he knows that I wouldn't tell him to do that. And that was just, Chapman being going rogue. And thank you for that clarification, Dusty, because I really wasn't sure.
The insinuation that there is someone in the universe who believes that Dusty Baker went up to Aroldis Chapman before the game after Chapman had blown 2 saves. I was like, my dude, what's up? If you get the save today, would you somersault twice? Not once, twice.
Please, twice.
I'm Dusty Baker. I invented the high five.
Yeah.
I know how to celebrate. We're going to need you to do 2 somersaults.
And again, last point on this is just right, because of course we have all these stupid beanball wars today, and managers are talking smack about other managers and the way that they control their clubhouse and the way that they do things, and that you can read between the lines, and all that is maybe makes sense about, oh, well, I wouldn't tell my guy to throw you, whatever. This is just truly one of the accidentally funniest things I've ever read in my life. Viewers were surprised to see Chapman's forward rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were we. So you know who else was? Basically, the Reds were also surprised to see Chapman's forward rolls. All right, that's Aroldis Chapman.
I like Dusty Baker's in the dugout. He sees Chapman roll. He's like, oh, good. Nice. Okay, he did it.
Hey, nice. All right.
He did his post-throw work. He got his work in.
All right. Let's move on to our next category, to all the gloves I've chucked before. Jake, who are we going to begin with?
Well, before we begin, let's talk about a glove chuck. What is a glove chuck, Jordan?
Yeah.
What does it accomplish? What do we know about it? So we've all been angry, right?
Yeah, throwing things is something like, you get a little mad and you want to throw something. Now, hopefully, you're being safe. You're not endangering others. But, we've all maybe thrown something into our pillow. Okay, yeah, it's fine. We get it.
I got mad about something I remember very vividly last April, and I threw something on, I threw a shirt at a wall. And it kind of felt good after. I kind of felt nice.
Right.
But to do it on a baseball field with your glove is a different story. And this is certainly the type of thing that when you're playing Little League or in middle school, high school, tends to get coached out of you. You'll get the coach that's like, "Don't you dare throw the glove!" That's not respecting the game.
Didn't make it to these 4 gentlemen. So let's begin with
three gentlemen. We'll begin. Eduardo Rodriguez's glove throw from the 2018 World Series. Let's set the stage. 2018, Game 4, a.k.a. the day after the craziest game we've ever seen, a.k.a. the 18-inning game. which, Jordan, quick plug, you and I live commentated the whole thing, no breaks. I pissed once, you pissed once.
7.5 hours.
7.5 hours.
No breaks, no commercials. All right, anyway,
if you could join us talking for 40 minutes,
stick around. We'll be here till 10 p.m. So that, obviously, we all remember that. And the crazy thing, I can't believe this, they had to play again the next day.
Yeah, they ran it back. And when we look back on that World Series from where we sit now, like after it happened, it was like, oh, they won in 5 games, and like the Red Sox steamrolled them, and it was never really a contest, whatever. But Game 4 was a huge turning point where the Dodgers went up big, and then they completely blew it, and the Red Sox came all the way back. I'm sure Red Sox and Dodgers fans remember this vividly. I am neither of those things. But to set the stage, Puig is up 2 on, 2 out. Erod is in there, a batter too long, and then this happens. Boom. Okay, so this is, first of all, an absolutely just awful pitch. I mean,
and we all remember. I think we all remember this was a situation where, as Puig's coming up, and his pitch count wasn't that high, but we were like, maybe take Eduardo Rodriguez out.
Yeah, bring in a righty.
Yeah,
yeah. You know, get a righty in there against Jock Peterson or whatever the heck was probably going to happen. You know, like probably a bad call. Rodriguez ends up chucking the glove on the ground. Puig rounds the bases. Got to say, great camera work here to stick with this shot for longer than usual. Very well done. Now, we're going to throw on a GIF of it while we talk about it. Shouts out to Pitcher List.
They're good. I like them.
Good website.
They do good work.
The GIF. So this was Rodriguez's last pitch of the game, and he knew it, right? Like, he was very aware of it. And so he, at this point, could essentially do anything he needed to do, right? Like, just throw it on the ground and storm off the field. Like, it didn't matter. He wasn't pitching again in that game. And maybe not even – it turned out not pitching again the rest of the season because the Red Sox would come back and win. But the one thing I love about a glove throw, and this glove throw in particular, is that you got to switch hands. To throw a glove is actually harder than you think because you're not just, like, chucking it down with your hand. You have to, there's a real transfer involved to take the time to do that, to have the anger to do that. So here's a video I found. Shouts out to Chris Cotillo in the background from the 2018 winter meetings where someone asked Erod about the glove throw because at this point it was all fun and games because they won the World Series. I'm just going to play this for everybody.
Oh, we can't hear it. I thought we could.
People can't hear it? Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
Paraphrase.
I'll paraphrase. Rodriguez is essentially saying, why are hitters allowed to throw their bats, break their bats over their knees, and throw their helmets on the ground, but yet when we get pissed off as pitchers and we throw our gloves on the ground, people say we can't do that. And I got to say, it's a good point.
Good point. A smart point from Erod. I think that is very true. Right. Of course, we have so many, of course, this particular home run is all about the Puig bat flip, but we're focusing on the glove throw here because, right, this is pretty justified. Pretty justified. Hard to get mad about this, especially as we go to our next glove throwers. You'll see that this is probably the most reasonable one to get mad about.
All right. Fast forward, or fast backward. 2007. Ted Lilly, a man with 3 L's in his name and even more on the mound. That is the wrong stage to set. Ignore Erod being at the top of the page. This is NLDS Game 2 from 2007. Cubs are down 1-0 in the series, up 2-0 in the game. And I don't know if people remember this, but when I was growing up, it was a big deal when the Cubs were in the postseason because they hadn't won in like at least 10 years at that point.
Right.
And I know if people watched the Marlins series in 2020 and it's like, wow, that's a team that's lifeless. They must be in the World Series or postseason every year. Felt like that. But there was a time where people cared about the Cubs in the postseason.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal.
So this was one of those times. 2007, Arizona Diamondbacks, of course, just a dominant team during this era, recently just winning a World Series. They're so good. Okay, so now they're facing Arizona. Cubs are down in this series, but they're up in this game, and Ted Lilly is starting one of these postseason games. But hey, Ted Lilly was pretty good.
He was pretty good. I mean, he gave up that home run to Barry Bonds in Yankee Stadium and didn't just retire. So you got
to him. That's a win.
Hat tip for the perseverance, my man. But here's the homer. This is Chris Young Boom.
Oh, yeah.
See you later.
Oh, yeah. That's absolutely smashed. Chris Young was really good. Shouts out Chris Young. Ted Lilly, not having a great time. Now, what you're going to see here is Ted Lilly is going to perform an even more violent glove spike.
Boom. Absolute chucking it down. Here it is replayed. He is letting it loose. I think this is maybe 2 or 3 levels more violent than the Erod one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason for that is this. He's an out away. Oops. He's an out away. He's a strike away from getting out of this, right? And when you're on the Cubs and you have all that pressure, it all matters. It's all on your shoulders. He's 1 out, 1 pitch, 1 strike from getting out of this inning. And I think the moment he gave up this home run, it was game over for the Cubs this season.
I agree. So why are you saying this was more reasonable?
Yeah, I think when he chucked it, he had the weight of an entire section of the city on throwing that glove down with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem with this one is, unlike Erod, he had to keep pitching. And I think he basically rattled himself by throwing the glove down. He didn't do so well for the rest of the game. And
he would end up giving 2 more runs in that inning.
Oh, wow. Oh,
so there you go. But did Ted Lilly's action delay the Cubs breaking their curse? No, it did not.
I would say yes, but it's fine.
Okay.
Okay. We move to our final glove chucker, Mr. Shawn Kelley, WYD. Now, our first 2 examples, huge profile game. I mean, the World Series, Game 4, the Chicago Cubs in the playoffs.
Cubs are famous.
The next one is not quite that. We go to 2018, a game between the Washington Nationals and the New York Mets. What could have possibly made Shawn Kelley do this in a game where the Nationals were winning by 23 runs? How does this happen? What makes a man so mad in this case? Well,
please tell me.
Shawn Kelley had been really good in July. Not as good as Chad QUALLS. I'm not trying to get too crazy here, but he was really good. He was having a good time. Okay. So he's good. And the other thing about this is that, like, when Nationals are up by this many runs, it's like, well, I don't have to work today. Okay. Wander Suero comes in at the top of the 8th because they're up 19-1. Shawn Kelley's he hasn't pitched in 5 days. He's in the bullpen. He's hanging out. There's no way he's going to have to come to this game because Wander Suero can just pitch the last 2. We're up by 1 million. Who cares? No problem. Oh, wait, actually, there is a problem. Wander Suero throws 29 pitches in the top of the 8th, and it would be malpractice to send him out there for the 9th because whatever. Like, it's just, why are we, trying to risk the health of our reliever? We're not going to. So middle of the 8th, this is probably what happens. Davey Martinez calls down to the bullpen and says, look, Shawn, I mean, the baseball's 9 innings. We got to play 9 innings. You've got the 9th. Wander just threw 900 pitches. He's going to be on our World Series team when we win when we win the World Series next year. We're going to need Wander Suero. We're not going to need you. So you're going to have to pitch. You're fresh. You haven't pitched in 5 days. Like, just come in, throw the 9th. Do us a solid.
Okay, so he's warming up in the bottom of the 8th while the Nats are hitting.
Mm-hmm. Then Jose Reyes comes in to pitch. Jose Reyes, yes. For the first time in his career, comes in and pitches for the Mets. And no, it does not go well. The Nationals bat around. They put up 6 more runs, including 2 home runs, 1 from Matt Adams, 1 from Mark Reynolds. This takes about 20 minutes while Shawn Kelley is warming for the 9th. And you can imagine that Shawn Kelley is probably not super thrilled about this. Yeah,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But he still has to come in. Baseball's 9 innings. He comes in, and it's not going well. Clearly, he doesn't have it. Conforto leadoff double. Jose Reyes, the pitcher, hits a single. McNeil ground out, and then Austin Jackson comes to the dish. By the way, the whole time the umpires are like telling Shawn Kelley, dude, come on, like, hurry up. We all want this game to be over. But also being like, dude, slow down. You're balking every time because you want this game to be over with. So Shawn Kelley was pissed with the umps also. But what happens next? Austin Jackson comes up, and he hits one into the Mets bullpen. You can already tell Shawn Kelley has accepted his fate.
He didn't even point. He didn't even point at it.
Didn't even point. That's going to make it a 21-run ball game. And Shawn Kelley is furious. Not only does he throw it down as he stares at his own dugout, he's going to kick his own glove and eventually pick it up. And that was that. Now, what is the aftermath of this? Well, you can see he looked at Dave. He was not too happy about that.
This is a key. This is a key. He tells the media, right, that he's mad at the umpires. But watch, he throws the glove down. Where does his gaze go?
Why the F am I in this baseball game, homie? What is going on? Okay, so that's one thing. So he tells the media, I was just mad at the umps. They're like, yeah, no way. That's not true. Rizzo and Sean Kelly, they get into it. And Kelly's like, dude, what the hell? Why am I pitching? They're yelling at each other after the game. And then Mike Rizzo's like, wait a minute, I'm the GM. I can just DFA you. Boom, gone. DFA'd, traded to Oakland, goes and is like totally fine and good for Oakland for the rest of the season. And my question is, if this had happened on July 30th and not July 31st after the deadline,
probably just trade him.
would they just trade him?
Again, this is the Nats who perpetually need relievers.
And they were just like, this dude disrespected us. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
Okay, this is a borderline one, I think, in terms of the validity of it, because on one hand, look, players should be free to emote and express themselves on the diamond as much as they want. No duh. If you know us, that's the whole thesis statement, kind of. But at the same time, if you are throwing your glove around in a moment like this, where you're down 23 runs, like everyone can dunk on you. Yep. That's how it works. Now, I don't think he got traded or released or wavered or whatever the heck because he threw his glove. I think he did it because he then like tried to defend it and got into an argument with his boss. I think it's that. Like, if he had thrown the glove and then apologized, they wouldn't have traded him.
Yep, I agree. All right, Jake, we have, I believe, one final segment for you fine folks. I know we got about 8 minutes left, but I promise this will be worth your wait. Chris RESOP. Who the hell is Chris? I know we're getting more and more obscure as we have begun at Hansel Robles, Chad QUALLS, Sean Kelly. Now we're at Chris RESOP. Who the hell is Chris RESOP? Now, if you followed us for a long time, it's very possible you already know what we're about to talk about. But if you don't, I hope you enjoy the next 5 minutes. Chris RESOP was a 4th-round pick by the Marlins in 2001 as an outfielder. 2004, he converts to pitching and becomes a perfectly normal major league reliever. Good for Chris RESOP. Pitches 8 years in the majors, mostly for the Pirates. Now, though, no joke, he is a top-rated real estate agent in Naples, Florida.
Legit.
Better. If you go to Chris RESOP, you go to the realty, this dude's done over $100 million in home sales in Naples. He is the real
I'm not buying property in Naples.
But if I was...
I know what Jordan makes, because he makes the same as me, and he's not buying property in Naples. But if I was...
We're going straight to Chris RESOP. Okay, anyway, but the point is there's a million of these relievers, very forgettable. But why are we talking about Chris RESOP? Why are we talking about this guy? Like, what's the difference between him and Mike Morin? Mike Morin's the same thing. It's Scott Diamond. His crotch. Okay, his crotch. Why are we talking about his crotch? Why are we talking about a guy's crotch? Chris RESOP, every time that the batter, Hansel, batter, boop, up. Chris RESOP, every time the batter made contact against him, he grabbed his crotch. Now, you might think, why do you know this, Jordan? What? I don't understand. Why? Who noticed this? Why are you sharing this with people? I guess I can tell you now, before we give you the mountain of evidence that this is a real thing. Jake will run this. Actually, no, stop it there. Don't start it yet.
Okay.
Chris RESOP, as we see here, facing off against Starlin Castro. In 2014, I was just doing, the old, let's see, batter-pitcher matchup. Starlin Castro. I was thinking about Starlin Castro. Who's Starlin Castro, crushed against? 6 for 8 with 3 home runs against someone named Chris RESOP? That's crazy. Starlin Castro. So I went back. I watched the 3 home runs. I saw that on all 3 of them, our good friend Chris grabbed his crotch, and I was like, that is crazy. Why is he doing that? And then I was like, I wonder if he does this for non-home runs. So that's a home run for sure. But then you start to realize that it's actually every batted ball. So, you got ground outs, you got line outs, you got fly outs, you got pop outs, you got bunts, I'm sure. Chris RESOP was just doing this and he had no shame. And it's unfortunate because, the nature of the center field camera angle is that this is where the camera is focused. And if he's turning around and doing this every time before the camera changes, they're going to catch him every single time. Now you're thinking, Jordan, you are such a weirdo. Why would you do this? Why would you want to write this about someone? Surely Chris RESOP was like, he probably contacted you. He was like, can you take this down? This is so embarrassing. Well, this is the happy ending to this story, folks. Late in September of 2014, we received a direct message from one Chris RESOP basically saying, this was hilarious. Nice work. My manager showed it to me in AAA, and this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So nice work. Haha. Good stuff. And you can imagine the sigh of relief that I experienced when we went on to have him on our old podcast. We asked him about it. he basically told us, the manager called him in and was like, son, you know, I got to talk to you about something. How do you explain this? He was like, what have I done? And he showed him the article. And so shouts out to Chris Resop, who
good sport about it.
Extremely good sport, extremely nice guy, extremely good real estate agent. And as he said to us, he's like, yeah, I guess I had a bad habit. Sorry.
I mean, if we really want to break this down, Jordan, like, he's adjusting his junk.
Sure.
Right? Like, if we want to be blunt about it. Like, that's what he's
we've seen that. Like, I've seen
hitters do this all the time.
Yes.
It is the consistency with which it was like a part of his windup. It was like his leg lift. It was like, that's what makes this so incredible.
Exactly. It is not the single action. If he had done this once, we would not do a whole article and presentation about it. But shouts out to Chris Resop. And thank you once again, all these years later, for being a good sport. And if you're in Naples and you're looking to buy a very expensive home on the water, Chris Resop is your man.
He is my man. All right,
all right. What did we learn, Jake? We got to get out of here in a few minutes.
I know. I'm just going through the presentation to get back to the next slide because I'm bad at these. Yeah. All right, what we learned. I would say Hansel Robles taught us hope. Felix taught us joy. Jordan, Chad QUALLS taught us about the perils of imbalance gymnastics. I would say Erod taught us to be ourselves. Ted Lilly didn't teach us anything. Sean Kelly taught us anger, and Chris Resop taught us about sex education. Jordan.
Yes.
Any final thoughts on what we learned today?
I'm proud that we were able to, when we first got this invitation from our good friend Nick, he said, hey, 45-minute presentations. We're like, 45 minutes? How are we going to talk about PowerPoint 45 minutes? We could have gone 45 hours on this stuff. We cut a lot of stuff out.
There's a lot that got cut.
A lot of the cutting floor, but we hope you appreciate this presentation. Thank you to Nick for having us on here. Make sure you donate money. I love the cause here. We will definitely be donating some money for the cause and adding to the Feeding America fundraiser. We have a podcast, Baseball Barbecue, that you can listen to on the Ringer. That's that. Check it out. It's fun. It's once a week. We also have a podcast about Division III baseball, which we'll be recording our first of the year. That podcast is near and dear to our heart. And if you have a Division III baseball connection, which guess what, you probably do and don't even know it.
You probably do.
Check it out. New episode next week. And also, Jake's gonna bike to Chicago because he said that there's no way the White Sox were gonna hire Tony La Russa, and then they did, and we're gonna raise a lot of money. So stay tuned for your details on that. And thanks for watching. Thank you to Nick Pollock and to all the fine people at Pitcher List. And I think that's all we got. There's Nick. Hey, Nick.
Yo, that was
amazing. At that. 3:59 on the dot.
You did it. I knew you could. By
Buzzer
the way,
beater.
Went to Brandeis, so you better feature us in that D3.
Shouts out to the judges.
Nelson Figueroa, baby.
Yeah, you guys kind of suck now.
Yeah, I know. No, we weren't very good when I was there. Probably because I was there. But
I'm gonna hit you up to talk about this though.
Hey, great Nelson Figueroa awesome. Shout out again. Thank you, Nick. Thank you to everyone who tuned in.
Donate.
Thank you guys. You're the best.
Enjoy, and we'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.